Guys, what the heck is happening? What is this? Okay, so the video going up today was supposed to be a vlog of the weekend trip that I just went on. Here's how it started. Good morning. So we are headed to Montauk. I've never been to Montauk. I've never been to that part of Long Island. My boyfriend is from Long Island, and so Montauk is a really special place to him. So that's where we're headed. So I'm just packing everything up now. It's a Friday. We're just going until Sunday morning with friends, and you're gonna come along. But here's how it ended. As you know from the title, I'm officially engaged, and we're gonna do a little Tater Talk here. So if you're new, hey, I'm Healthy Emmy. Tater Talks are where I sit down, I have my sweet potato meal, talk about the potatoes, how delicious they are, and we talk about a certain topic. And today we're doing a little Healthy Honey talk. You and I are gonna sit down, have our meal together, and I'm gonna tell you the story of what the heck went down over the past 72 hours. As always, I've meditated before my meal. I also have my assistant here. They are very happy because this captures light, and light will ascend across the room, onto the walls, onto the floor, and they think it's a laser pointer. So they're happy. All right, the meal. I have my veggies, my sweet, sweet fiance. I was gonna say boyfriend, now I say fiance. Last night I was saying, oh, I ran out of lettuce. He goes, I'll get you some. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine. And he came back with cabbage that he thought was lettuce. So I'm having some cabbage. I haven't had cabbage in a while. Let's see how it is. The feedback that I've gotten about these videos is that you like that they're unedited because it feels authentic, we can eat together, but the chewing sounds are not liked. I hear you, I see you. You won't be able to hear the chewing because I'm using this microphone. So let me tell you the story. My significant other, my boyfriend, my fiance, I can say that now. I always said significant other because I just felt silly saying boyfriend. We met 5 years ago. We started dating just about 5 years ago. That was the most wild experience I have ever had. This whole video is going to be about the actual engagement itself and how that happened, but just to give you a little background about he and I. I've had boyfriends in the past. I'm no stranger to meeting somebody and what a relationship looks like. But that night was a cosmic experience, the night that I met my significant other. You know that feeling when you're little and you lose your mom in the grocery store and then you find her and you're like, oh, thank God. Okay, there she is. That was the feeling that I got when I met my significant other, who was a stranger. I met him and it was like, there you are. That's the feeling that I got. It wasn't a thought. I didn't have the conscious thought of, there you are, where have you been? It was the feeling that comes with that of, okay, there they are. It was wild. And I don't know I respect everybody's spiritual beliefs. I think it's awesome that we all can have different spiritual beliefs. I'm of the belief that we've done this life before together, he and I, and that he's the partner that I keep cycling through life through. And I think that's why I got that feeling when I first met him. Okay, that's that on that. So we've been together for just about 5 years this summer. We met in the summer of 2019 when we were 24. Now we are 29 in the summer of 2024. So this past weekend was a weekend like any other. My boyfriend, my fiance, the way that his work schedule works is that he has an off season from like mid-June to mid-July where he is completely free. It is literally like summer break when you were a kid, All right, now I'm gonna move on to a little bite of cauliflower. I think cauliflower is ranking as my favorite vegetable at the moment. Leave a comment and let me know what your favorite vegetable at the moment is. So, during this summer break, he is, let's have a great time. Like, we're doing this weekend, this next weekend. He's hanging out with his friends. He's out by the pool reading during the day. He really is off. And so when it's this time of year, he doesn't have a regular schedule. He acts very different. It's awesome how he acts during his break because he is so present, and I just love when he's on break. It's like this different person comes alive. It's so fun. And for that reason, him and acting any different over the past month is normal behavior. He's supposed to be acting different during this time. That paired with the fact that the Karen Reed trial has taken up every centimeter of brain space that I have to give over the past couple months was the perfect storm for me having absolutely no idea that this was coming. Another thing is when you're with somebody for such a long time, they become such a fixture in your world. It feels like he's another son to my parents in a non-incestual way. He's a part of my family. I'm a part of his family. We are family. That you don't have that feeling of like, oh, is today going to be the proposal? Because this is this partner that's my family. They're always here. They're always going to be here. You don't have this need or this nervousness about a proposal. This is my unique experience in this partnership. Hello. And also just when you're with somebody for such a long time, we've been on 10,000 trips together. We've been on a billion weekend getaways. You've done so many things together that this trip is no different from any else's. You know, like, what? Oh, is this the trip that it's going to happen? Like we do things all the time. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're always going places and doing things that this didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. A few weeks ago, he's planning out the whole summer. He's like, we're going here this weekend, that weekend. We have this wedding. We're going to go visit this place. We're going to Nantucket. There's so much that's going on during the summer. He goes, weekend of June 28th, what do you have on your calendar? The only thing I had on my calendar was going to see my best friend, Michaela, who would be on the Cape. And so I said, well, I might go see Michaela that day. And is something going on? Like, is there something happening? And little do I know, he texts Michaela to make sure that I will not be visiting her because instead we have plans that we need to make. So I text Michaela and find out that she has an obligation on that day. So I say, oh, well, I guess I'm free. And so he says, okay, well, we're going to go to the Hamptons with our friends. We're going to meet them there, the same people that we went to Nantucket with. And I was like, cool, okay, sounds fun. So I put it on my calendar and that's that. So I've got cabbage, cauliflower, zucchini, Brussels sprouts, and then I have the Hawaiian sweet potatoes. These are baked last night. I baked a bunch, and then the ones that I didn't eat, I just put in the fridge. So these have been in the fridge overnight, which little elves go into the fridge overnight and make them taste a million times sweeter. So they will taste very sweet when we taste them. Okay, so leading up to this happening, per my last email, the Karen Reed trial has been all of my brain space. On top of that, my boyfriend's on break. My fiance is on break. So he doesn't really have any sort of normal routine, rhythm, and regimen that he has when the work year is happening. So he's out and about, going on walks, like things are happening. To me, nothing is out of the ordinary. then it's Friday morning, the morning that we're headed to go, and I come out. It's 10 minutes before we're about to leave. My bags are packed. I've had this manicure on for a month. I don't have a spray tan because it just ended up being that it was supposed to be us and a couple of our guy friends that were going to be in the Hamptons. So it was going to kind of be a boys' weekend, and I was going to be there. And so I just kind of packed what I had. My boyfriend was like, oh, people usually wear white in the Hamptons in the place that we're going to. So pack your white. And I don't even have a white dress that fits me, but I have a white dress that's kind of big and it looks a little bit frumpy, but I'm like, whatever. It's going to be me and the guys. Like, who cares? So my bags are packed. I have some stuff in there. I don't have anything fresh or new, but it's going to be just a fun, relaxing weekend. It's not going to be a fashion show. So I'm like, whatever, who cares? It's just me and some of our guy friends. So it's 10 minutes before we're about to leave. And to get from Boston to this part of Long Island, you have to take a ferry. In fact, most people take 3 ferries to get there. So we have a ferry booked for a certain time. And I come out and 10 minutes before we're about to leave, and I'm wearing a black tennis dress because we're going to be in the car. It's like it's a 7-hour door-to-door, 6 to 7 hours door-to-door to get there. And so I come out wearing just athleisure because I'm not going to dress to the nines before we go there. And my boyfriend goes, oh, you're wearing black. And that was weird because my boyfriend, my fiance, never, first off, we've been together for nearly 5 years. I don't think he's ever said something. He's just the most gentle man on earth. I don't think he has ever said anything of disapproval toward me in general, let alone what I'm wearing. Like, that is, when he said that, I was like, what? Like, did he just make a comment about what I'm wearing? Because usually what it is, oh, you look so cute. You look so pretty. Look at your little dress. Literally, I could come out in a potato sack and he'd be like, look at your little potato sack. You look so cute. So for me to come out wearing a black dress and for him to be like, oh, you're wearing black, I was like, so then the wheels start turning. And just as an aside here, I am impossible to get things by. I'm impossible to surprise. I am too, and my boyfriend will say this, my fiance will say this. When we asked each other, what's your favorite thing about each other? He said my emotional intelligence is or his favorite characteristic of mine, that I can read anybody like a book. There is no getting by me. However, things got by me for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, he was on break from work. There's no normalcy. There's no baseline for me to compare to versus during the other 11 months of the year, there's a baseline. I can detect if the stapler was broken for him at work. This is how in it I am. But when it's break, when it's the month of June, all bets are off. That was number 1 against me. Number 2 against me, per my last email, the Karen Reed trial literally has taken up all of my brain space. So after he says that, I come back into my office and I'm like, wait a minute. Now I'm doing a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm thinking back to things that have been happening. And I record this vlog clip. Wait, guys. I think I might be getting proposed to today. That would be crazy. So now I'm freaking out because We're about to leave. My bag is packed and I have a month-old manicure. I don't have a spray tan on. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, so superficial. I am type A, perfectionist, control freak. I have this vision of what I will look like when this happens. And this is not the case. I don't have any makeup on. The one thing that I always wanted with a proposal was that there was a secret photographer. I love, love, love photography, videography. I love that you can capture a moment in time and keep it forever. I love photography. It's one of my primary foods. And so I always wanted there to be a photo of that moment that I could forever cherish. And I wanted to look good in the photo. So now I'm freaking out because I'm like, A, is this actually happening? B, I am so unprepared for this. And C, oh my God, is this actually happening? So the whole ride down, it's about 11 a.m. at this point. The whole ride down, I cannot focus. My assistant is like asking me questions, and I said to my assistant, I was like, Macy, I can't think straight right now because I think I might be getting proposed to. So I text her. I'm texting my friend Audra, and I text her, and then I text my sister-in-law. But I don't want to text like my best friends. I don't want to text my group chat. I don't want to text Michaela and Ellen because I don't want to be embarrassed if I'm like getting my hopes up about something and then it ends up not being the case. So in my mind, this is what the rest of the day is looking like. We're headed to Long Island. We're going to dinner at 6 o'clock. We're meeting our friends at dinner at 6 o'clock at this place called Gurney's in Montauk. So we're on the way there. I don't have makeup on. I'm wearing my black dress still. And I start doing my makeup in the car because I'm like, what if this is happening? I'm doing my makeup in the little fold down mirror from in the car. And we are supposedly meeting our friends at this restaurant for dinner. And so I've emailed the restaurant because I always email a restaurant to make sure that they can adhere to my dietary requests. And I say, hi, we have a reservation under our friend Tommy for 6 of us at 6 o'clock. And she's like, there is no reservation under Tommy. And our friend Tommy he's like got a guy everywhere. He like knows the manager at this place and the manager at that place and the owner there. And so I text Tommy and I'm like, do we have a reservation? He's like, oh yeah, like my manager, I'll just like put aside a table for us. And I believed him because that's so believable for him. That's literally what he does everywhere we go. He's always like, oh yeah, I've got it covered. Like, I don't need a reservation there. So I was like, okay, whatever. Supposedly, Tommy was meeting us at the restaurant and then 2 of our other friends were meeting us at the restaurant. And so I was like, okay, cool. So that's the plan. That's what's going to happen. So we get to the restaurant and my boyfriend takes out his phone. We get there, we park, we like are walking in the little area and he's like, oh, Tommy just said dinner's not for another hour. So like, do you want to go walk down on the beach? I'm like, okay. So we walk down on the beach and it happens. He takes out a box, opens it up, upside down, which is like so him. I can't even tell you. It's so typical. I was cracking up. I can't wait to get the photos from. There was a secret photographer that was taking photos of everything. I cannot wait to get those photos because I'm cracking up in the photos because he's opening the box upside down. So I say yes, and I see the ring. 2 years ago, I sent him a photo of a ring, and I was like, I love this ring. It's a simple gold band with a, let me see if I can show you. I guess I can just pop up a picture. Simple gold band with a radiant cut. Just nice and simple, nothing else. That's what I want. Simple gold band, radiant cut. And he did that. But also, there's teeny tiny, it's hard for me to show you, but there's teeny tiny little diamonds that have a little halo on it. So it fits perfectly. Thank goodness. Don't have to resize it. I can't believe it. My cheeks are, because I'm smiling so much. There's two chairs set up and champagne and flowers. I don't drink champagne, but it was nice that Gurney's, the resort, set that out for us. And there's a heart in the sand. And we sit there for a moment. We just kind of have a moment, just he and I together, which I don't even, I blacked out. I don't even remember that. And then we were like, all right, should we go meet our friends now? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we walk up because that's why we were there, to be with our friends. So we walk back up to the resort, and our friend Tommy comes down, and there's a DJ, and he has the DJ put on the song Bruno Mars, Marry You. So we see Tommy and, hugs and blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Tommy, you knew that this was happening, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, let's go have dinner. And they're like, oh, we're not having dinner here. We're going to go back to the Airbnb and we're going to grill out. I'm like, oh, fun. Because I love doing that. So we get in the car and we're on the way there. It's 3 of us. I'm still in shock processing this. Who knows? Does my mom know? Does my dad know? And I thought that my mom wouldn't know and my dad would know. But either way, I wasn't planning on telling my mom until we got back from the weekend, or talking to her, because I wanted to have that moment in person. I didn't want to FaceTime. It doesn't hit the same as the moment in person. And so I was I didn't tell anybody. I texted all my friends and they were all freaking out. And, I texted, of course, my assistant Macy and Audra and my sister-in-law. And I'm like, oh my God, it actually happened. Literally what is happening right now? And we go back to the Airbnb and we're walking in, and we walk in and my parents jump out and surprise me, and his parents jump out, and his sister and his sister's husband jump out, and the dog, and I just immediately start bawling my eyes out. I'm walking into that house thinking that our friends are there, our 2 guy friends. My boyfriend and Tommy will be our 2 idiot friends. She walks in thinking our 2 idiot friends are there. And there's photos of us everywhere. It's all decorated. There's a dining table set up with all these decorations, and there's signs, and they made like a logo for the weekend. And I just immediately start crying. So, because in my mind, we were going to a weekend getaway with our friends, and it was just going to be me and the guys. And then I open the door, and our families are there, and they're laughing and smiling and so happy. And that meant so much to me. My dad doesn't love to travel. My future father-in-law, like, they just like being at home, which is fine. I love being at home too. And the fact that my parents took 3 ferries to get from Boston to Long Island, and specifically the Hamptons area. We were in East Hampton, was where we were staying. They took 3 ferries to get there. And they did that for us. And that just meant so much to me. And so I'm like in shock. I cannot believe my eyes. I figured out, like, okay, am I getting proposed to today? But the last thing I was thinking was that our families would be there. And my boyfriend, my fiance knows, my parents, and everybody who watches this channel knows, they are important. The word important is an insult to the degree to which they matter to me. And so the fact that we were able to share such a joyous moment together was an indescribable feeling. So it's this beautiful Airbnb, and my boyfriend organized for all of our families to stay there for the weekend. And I could not believe it. I was like, are you guys here all weekend? Like, you're here until Sunday? Not to mention, it was a perfect day. It was perfect temperature, a sunny blue sky, not a cloud in the sky. I could not believe it. And my mom had prepared, my mom and my boyfriend, my fiance's mom, my future mother-in-law, had prepared a feast for all of us. And it was so funny because my fiance, myself, both of our sets of parents, and his sister and his brother-in-law, and the dog, and then Tommy, our friend Tommy, was there. It's just so funny. So we all sat down for dinner, and my mom had prepared a big oil-free section for me. She had Japanese sweet potatoes, she had zucchini, summer squash, she had potatoes, water sauteed peppers and onions. So she made a huge little oil-free section for me. And they put so much work into it. I was dumbfounded. I could not believe that all of this was happening behind the scenes. And then I got the story of, okay, so like, what has been happening behind the scenes? All right, should we have some sweet potato? If you're new here, Hawaiian sweet potatoes are purple on the inside, beige on the outside. I don't have a knife. I always eat the skin. These are still cool. I just took them out of the fridge. I didn't heat them up. I need to rate it. That's a good one. I'm going to rate that an 8.5. Okay, so where was I? The backstory. So my boyfriend stopped by my parents to officially ask, and he texts my parents when he's leaving work one day, and he says, "Can I stop by on my way home? Don't tell Em." What else could this be, right? So he pulls into the driveway of my parents, and my dad apparently says, "Are you going to say it or am I?" So they know that this is why he's here. My ring is casting a light on the wall right now. V loves it. Okay, so he of course asks, obviously gets the blessing. Like, it's not even a question. He's literally like a third son to my parents. A running joke in the family is whenever my grandmother was at our house, my grandmother has since passed. She's been gone for about 12 years, I believe. But when she lived down in Connecticut, we live in the Boston area growing up. And whenever it was time to go, my grandfather would say to her, because she wouldn't want to leave, and my grandfather would say, "What do you say, Elizabeth?" So I'm named after her. My name is Emily Elizabeth, and I'm named after her. He would say, "What do you say, Elizabeth? What do you say, Elizabeth?" That meant like it's time for us to go. She never wanted to leave. So whenever my boyfriend and I are leaving my parents' house, we're there all the time. So the saying, whenever it's time for us to go, we always go, "What do you say, Elizabeth?" And so when my boyfriend was leaving my parents on the day that he asked for my hand in marriage, this is wild, he said to my parents, "Well, what do you say, Elizabeth?" And my mom said to him, "They would have loved you," which is so true. And they never got to meet him. And after she said that, V, you're ruining a moment. This came up. So for anybody that believes in signs from the other side, which I most definitely do, I think that was a sign from the other side. So the rest of the weekend, I was planning on vlogging the weekend. I was so, this just goes to show how caught off guard I was, because I was so in the moment. I was so present. My vlog camera stayed in my bag the entire weekend. I was, all that mattered in that moment was him, my significant other, my fiance. And when he went down on one knee, I had the most wild experience. You know, they say in these big moments, like your life flashes. See, the cats are seeing my ring cast light all over the wall. You know how they say in these big life experiences, like your life flashes before your eyes. You think of all your past lovers. You know, like you think of all the frogs that you kissed that got you to this point. I had the exact opposite experience. The experience that I had in that moment when he was down on one knee It's like a boiling pot of water where it boils and it boils and then it all bubbles over. The amount of love that I have for that man in that moment was the water bubbling over. It was everything else in the world evaporated, and all that I saw was him. And sort of the aura around him expanded to take up my entire viewpoint and my entire world. And that's all that there was in that moment. There's all that there ever was, and there's all that ever will be. That's all I saw in that moment, which is so cool because you can't plan for how you're going to feel in that moment and how you're going to react. And I've read enough romance novels because I love my romance novels. I've read enough to know that a lot of people in that moment, they say, so-and-so got down on one knee, but all I thought about was him, like another person. Not my experience. And it's so cool too because I'm sure this is a similar experience I'll have if and when I become a mother, where you think you have I love somebody and I love something as much as I ever could. And then you give birth, for example, and that amount of love that you have for something transcends to infinity. And it's like, whoa, I never knew I could love like this and feel love like this. And that's how I felt. And I continue to question why I get to live this life and experience this kind of love, and why the universe or higher power, God, however you see it, gave me this love. Like, why me? Why am I the lucky one that gets this? And I'm awestruck by it. But what a gift, the love that I get to experience. When you experience a love like this, you just want everyone else to have it too. And now I see so differently when I see people get engaged and I see people get married and I see people have children. I look at it through such a different lens and I feel so happy for them. And I want others to have this too. It's magical. So I think that's the story of my engagement. I put on Instagram that I would do a little Q&A here, so we can do that. Okay, everybody's asking for like a picture of us and to meet him. I've always kept him private, not secret, meaning, I have now a fiance. But the internet's a wild world out there, and I'm sure you've seen with other couples and other people that do display their relationship. People can be really cruel, and I'm not yet. I'm getting married to the most kind, gentle, caring, selfless, helpful, sweet cinnamon roll of a man that if there was even a whiff of somebody being mean to him, I would delete all of my social media because he doesn't deserve that. That should be illegal. I just cannot even make that a possibility. So I am protecting the world's sweetest cinnamon roll from the wild, wild west of the internet. And so I'm sorry, but you know how they say, like, one bad person ruins it for the rest of us. And so I'm sorry to the 99% of you that are the sweetest people in the world. But if you see me in Boston, you'll see him. We're always together out in Boston, so if you see us, come say hi. I would love to meet you. What month or season do you want your wedding? So, like I said, my boyfriend is on break from mid-June to mid-July, so it has to be during then. So it'll either be next year or the year after. I'm thinking it'll probably be the year after, though, because a year from now, that feels really rushed to plan a wedding. And also, there's literally like 4 dates for us to choose from that I'm pretty certain all of them are going to be booked by the time we would actually see a venue, and so it's probably going to be June or July 2026. I really want to enjoy being engaged. I've always said that this season, engagement, I'm like, that's the peak of living. Like, you're excited for your wedding, pre-kids, you can do whatever you want, you're settled down, you're in your early 30s. I'm 29 right now. I want to really enjoy it, and I don't want to rush it. And if we rush to a wedding, then what's there to look forward to? So I want to enjoy being engaged, and I'm really looking forward to planning a wedding. And I don't want to rush through that either because there's a deadline. I really want to enjoy this whole process and enjoy this time. Well, we get to meet Healthy Fiance now that we know he's sticking around. Him sticking around was never a problem. I knew from the second, and we both knew from the second we met each other, we're like, this is something different. So, yeah. What type of a stone is it? It's a diamond. It's a radiant cut diamond on a simple gold band, and then there's a little diamond halo around it. Did I pick out my ring? I didn't pick it out. I just sent him a photo a couple years ago of this influencer that I follow got engaged, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this ring. That's my dream ring. And he screenshotted it 2 years ago and literally got that exact look. Did or do I have any doubts? I have never been more sure of anything in my entire life. It's not, could I live life with this person? It's, how could I live life without this person? My brain cannot comprehend life without this person anymore. I will think back to before I knew him. I'll think back to like college, and he'll still be a character in my mind, but I didn't know him in college. It's wild how there is no other answer here except for my life with this person. What does he look like? He is 6 feet tall. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. Well, now that he's older, it's not really blonde anymore. It's like very, very dirty blonde, but not brunette. So I wouldn't say blonde hair. I would say the kid that had blonde hair when he was little, and now it's like a really dirty blonde. And he's unbelievably handsome. He has a beautiful jawline. And he's the most handsome man in the world. what foods will you serve at your reception? I will definitely have like quote unquote regular stuff, and then oil-free vegan, absolutely. Like I will find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. I will find a way to get oil-free vegan wedding cake, oil-free vegan entrees, appetizers, 1,000,000%. It's going to be sick. It's going to be awesome. When do I want to have kids? Not yet, but I am getting up there in age. I'm 29 and I don't want to have, a geriatric pregnancy. Not anytime soon, though. I'm not ready for that just yet. Okay, I'm finishing my last bite of sweet potato. I can definitely do another Q&A, engagement Q&A. Let me know in the comments if you want it. I'll do it. But plate's done, so thank you so much for all of your well wishes. This is going to be a really exciting chapter, which I definitely will be vlogging the whole thing. And I just feel so much gratitude. Like I said, why me, but in the best way. We usually say why me in a negative way, but why me? Thank you, God, for this one. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next video. Woo!